Hey, what's going on guys? Welcome back to another video. So in this video, we will see how we can Dockerize our Node.js application. We will see how we install the Docker desktop and build and run our images on Docker container. We will also see some of the frequently used Docker commands while working with our Node.js application. So if this sounds interesting, then stick around. Also don't forget to subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon so that you don't miss the videos like this one. So let's get started. Alright guys, so before we jump into the main topic of this video, I would like to share my experience of using this amazing platform mnWho. So mnWho platform connects the brands with value-driven nano and micro content creators for various niches, facilitating targeted and impactful campaigns. With the focus on various industries, mnWho streamlines the process of collaboration between the content creators and the brands. So this is the mnWho platform where you can join as a brand or as a creator. So what you need to do is you just need to click on the sign up. Then you will see that you can connect your social media accounts and you can click on this join as a creator. So if I click on it, you will see that we get a creator sign up form. So you just need to fill in your details. Once you click on the sign up, you will land to the dashboard where you need to complete your profile. So first thing you need to do is you need to verify your email address. So once you verify your email address, you can go to the channels and then you can click on connect channel. So here you can add your channel name. I will just click on the add channel. And then it's connecting. So my channel is already added. So you can connect your channel here. And once you connect your channel, you will see that you will have all the information related to your channel. Now, once your channel is active, you can start creating your services. So if you click on services, then here you need to add your channel name. You will add some title. You will have some description related to your service, your category, and then here you can create multiple services. And once you have your services done, then you can go for the campaigns where you will see all the campaigns listed here. So you can apply to any of the campaign. So let's say if I want to apply to this campaign, I'm going to click on it and then you will see some details about the campaign. So you just have to apply here and then you just have to wait for the response from the brand. So this is a very good platform to get the collaborations with the brand and make some money while working with the top brands. So I highly recommend that if you are a content creator, then you can join the mnWho and then you can collaborate with the top brands and make some real money. Alright guys, so the first thing we are going to do is we are going to create a basic Express app and then we will see how we can build image of the Express app and then run it in the Docker container. So we are going to start with, I'm going to create a directory and I'm going to have the nodejs docker web app. And now let's go to the directory. And now what we will do is I'm going to have the npm in it so that I can initialize my nodejs app. And here I'm going to give the application name as nodejs docker web app. All right, we are going to have the version as 1.0.0. We will have the description as nodejs app on docker container. We will have our entry point as server.js, no test command, no git repository, no keywords. I'm going to give author as the page Malvia, and then we will have to type yes, and then it will going to create our package.json file. Now let's open that in the folder. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to open my application here. So I'm going to click open and this is going to open our package.json file. Okay, I'm going to go and open the terminal again. And then what we are going to install here is I'm going to install the Express. So let me have the npm install Express. I will have the .env. All right, I'm going to hit enter and this is going to install our dependencies. I will also install the nodemon. So I'm going to have the npm install nodemon -dev -save. All right, so the nodemon is installed, but I made a mistake. It should be -save and then -dev. So it should be like -save -dev, and then it should have a dev dependency. So now if we go and check, then we see that we have nodemon as dev dependency. So now what we have to do is we need to create the server.js file. So I will have the server.js. So here I'm going to have the constant express that will be equals to require, and I'm going to have the express. All right, I'm going to convert this to an ES6. So I will go and convert this to ES6. All right, and for that what I have to do is I have to go to my package.json file and I just have to add the type as module. So I'm going to add the type and the type will be module, so that it will take the import express from express app. Now the next thing I will do is I'm going to create a constant port, and this port will be equal to process.env.port, and if we don't have the env file, then I'm going to have the port as 8080. All right, now let's create the express app. So I'm going to have the app which will be equals to the express, and let's create a simple route. So I will have the app.get, I will have the slash, and this will have the request response. All right, this will be an arrow function, and I'm going to send a JSON response, and this JSON response will be message, and our message will be app is running on Docker container. All right, so now we have the route, and now we just need to listen to the port. So I'm going to have the app.listen, and we are going to pass the port here. All right, this is going to be an arrow function, and I'm going to simply have the console.log, and we will have the app running on, and let's give the port. All right, so I'm going to have the port here. So now we have our application. Now let's go to the package.json file, and in the package.json, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a script here. So let's add a script for the start. So I will have the start, and here I'm going to have the nodemon server.js. All right, I will save it, and now let's give a try. So what I will do is I'm going to have the npm start. So this is going to start my application on local environment. So I'm going to hit enter, and we see that the app is running on 8080. So what I'm going to do is I will just go to the Thunder client and just make a simple request. So I will have the http://localhost, so localhost 8080, and when I hit enter, I should get a JSON response, which is the app is running on Docker container. So now let's assume that this is the simple Node.js application. Now what we need to do is we don't want to run this application on our local environment, but we want to Dockerize this application and run it on the Docker container. So usually when you want to run something on a Docker container, you need to first create a Docker image, and after that you can run that image on a container. So what we need to do is we have to install Docker on our machine. So I already have installed Docker in my machine, but what you can do is you can just follow this guide. So you will see that docs.docker.com engine install, which is the official documentation of installation of Docker desktop on the machine. From here, what you can do is you can go to the Docker desktop and you can have the Docker install. So I'm using Mac, so I install the Mac. You can go for Windows or Linux. So now once you install the Docker on your machine, you will have a Docker desktop which will look something like this. So you will see this is a Docker desktop, and here you will see that containers. So at the present, I have no containers which is running any image. If I go to images, then you will see that we have a local images and we have remote repository. So we are going to create the image on the local. So you will see that I already have one image for the MongoDB which is on my local, and the image is not running. Then here you will see the volumes, and then you can have some more dev environments and extension. So now let's go and let's create the image of our Node.js application. So this was our Node.js application. What I'm going to do is I'm first going to kill this, and then before we create the image, we need to have some more files. So what I will do is I'm going to have the docker ignore, so that I don't want my files to go into the image. So what I will do is I'm going to add the node modules. So let me have the node modules. All right, I will also have the npm debug log, and I will also have the .env. I'm going to copy this, and I will also add these into my git ignore, because I'm going to put this project into my GitHub repository. So I will have the git ignore. All right, and I'm going to add it here as well. And now what we need to do is, in order to Dockerize any application, we need to have a Docker file. So let's create a Docker file. So I'm going to go here. I will have the Docker file. So in the Docker file, what we are going to do is whenever we want to Dockerize any application, first we need to have a base image. So from which base image we need to have this Docker image. So we are going to have a from here, and this will say that you need to have a base image. So now let's type the base image name. So we are having the node.js. So I'm going to have the node 18 hyphen Alpine. So now you must be wondering that from where we got this node 18 Alpine as a base image. So what we can do is we can go to the Docker desktop and we can make a search here. So if I search for the node, then here you will see that this is the quick reference and this is maintained by nodejs Docker team. And here you will see that Alpine different versions which are available, which you can reference in your Docker file. So now let's go back, and here you will see that we are having the base image now. And then from the base image, what we have to do is first we have to create a app directory. So let's have the app directory. So inside the Docker container where this application is going to run. So this application is going to run into a working directory, which is a work dir, and I'm going to give the work dir as the app. All right, so this will be my working directory. Now what we have to do is we need to install all the dependencies into this working directory. So I'm going to have the install app dependencies, and here I'm going to have copy my package.json file from the current directory. So the current directory is, if I go here and if I type pwd, what is my current working directory, then from this application I want to copy this package.json file into my app directory. So I'm going to have my package.json file and I want to copy it into /. So when I say /, it is the /app directory. Now we have copied, and once we copy the package.json, we need to run the npm install. So let's run the npm install. So I'm going to have the run npm install. All right, so here I'm going to have the run command, and we can give the command as npm install. So this is going to install all the dependencies. Now once you have all the dependencies installed, you need to copy all the source code into the app directory. So now let's copy the bundle app source. So I'm going to have the bundle app source, and we need to copy. So I'm going to have the copy from my current directory to my current working directory. So this is going to copy, and then we can expose the port which we want to expose. So we are using in the server.js as 8080. So let's expose that port 8080. And then we can have some executable commands. So if we want to run our application, what commands we use usually? If we go to package.json, we use npm start. So let's add that command. So I'm going to have the npm here. All right, and then we're going to have the start. All right, I will save it. Now you will see that we have all the commands in our Docker file. Now let's give a try to build a Docker image out of this. So what I will do is I'm going to have a Docker command here. So you can have the Docker, and you can have the Docker -h, which is going to give you all the commands for the Docker. All right, so these are all the commands, and we are going to use the build command. So let's have the build command first. So I'm going to go down, and here what I will do is I'm going to have the Docker build. So this is going to build my image, and for the image I also want to have a tag to that image. So I'm going to put a flag as t, and I want to run this on the current directory, which is the dot, and I'm going to give the name as the malvia / and let's have the node web app, and I'm going to give the version as 1 because we are going to create multiple versions of this image. So I'm going to have this, and I'm going to hit enter. All right, oops, so we made a mistake. So it should be first we should have the dot, so it will build in the current directory, and then we can give the tag to our image. So I'm going to hit enter, and you will see that it is first going to install all the dependencies which are from our base image. So first time it takes a little bit time because it's installing the dependencies first time, but the next time when you build the image from this code, it will be much faster. So we're going to wait for it. All right, so now you can see that the Docker image is built, and if we scroll up and see, then what it actually do is have the first command, which is from Docker, which is this from nodejs, the base image. So from the base image, it is downloading all the dependencies, and the next command it is executing is the working directory, then copy the package.json, npm install, copy all the source code, and then it is having the image. All right, so this is our image. So now if we go and if we see in our images, then we should be able to see that we have the new image, which is the node web app, which is on the local. All right, if we click on the details, then here you will see that we have all the details related to the package. All right, so now if we go here and if we want to see with the command, then what we can do is we can have the Docker images, and this is going to show us the image which we have. Now what we are going to do is we are going to run this image. So either you can run this image from the desktop itself, you can just click on it and it will start, but what we will do is we are going to run it via the command line. So I'm going to clear the console. To run it, what we will do is we are going to use the Docker run command, and then we are going to run it in the detached mode. That means it will run in the background and we will still have the console to use. But if we use it in an interactive mode, so in that we will have the -it, and then it is going to execute all the container stuff in the same command line. So we will not be able to use the same terminal. So I'm going to have it in a detached mode, and then we are going to give the port as 8080. So this port is from the container port. So inside the container, I want to run it as, let's say, 8001, and the application port is the 8080. So this is the now map. And then let's have our image. So I'm going to have the Malvia. I'm going to have the node web app, and we are going to have the version 1, and let's hit enter. So now you will see that the container is running. So if we go and verify in the container, then we will see that we have the container which is running. So you will see that there is a name called Awesome Darwin. We can also give a container custom name. All right, our application is running on the port 8001, and now let's give a try. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to have the local host 8001, and when I hit enter, then you will see the app is running on the Docker container. So this is how we have created an image of the Node.js application and then run it on a Docker container. Now we're going to see some more commands which are very useful when we work with the Docker containers. So now if I want to list down all the containers which are running, then I'm going to do a Docker PS, and this is going to give us the container information. The next thing what we can do is, if we want to see all the Docker containers which are created, we can simply use -a, and then that is going to give us the list of all the Docker containers. Now, if you wish to see the logs, let me first clear the console. So I'm going to clear the console. We're going to have the Docker logs, and before that we will also need the Docker ID. So I'm going to have this, and then I'm going to have the Docker logs. All right, and let's take the ID. So this is the ID. I'm going to copy, and then I'm going to add it here. You will see that these are our actual application logs, which is the node mon server.js app is running on 8080. Now, if we want to stop the container, we can simply use the docker stop, and then we have the ID. So this is going to stop our container. All right, you will see that the container is now stopped. And if we go here, and then if we want to see, then we will see that the container is status is exited. It's not running anymore. And you can just start from here, or you can start it with docker start. The next thing I want to show you is, if you want to log into the container, then what you can do is you can have the docker execute the it, then we are going to give the docker container, and then we are going to have the /bin/bash. So let's see, our docker container is stopped, but still we can go into the box or not. So I'm going to hit enter, and we see that this container is not running. So let's start the container first. So I'm going to have the start here. All right, I will have the start, and now the docker container is running. And what I will do is I'm going to just clear the console, and now I'm going to execute this. All right, so it says that our docker container doesn't have a bin bash. So the alternative what we can do is we can also use the other shell, which is this one, and let's hit an enter, and then you will see that we are in the /app directly. So I'm going to do an ls, and let's go one directory up. All right, and then if I do ls, then you will see that we have our container. We have already inside our container, and then if we go to our app, so let's go to cd app, and let's do ls-ltr. So this is going to give us all our application stuff. So this is our source code which is in our docker container. All right, so what I will do is to exit it. I'm just going to have the exit, and now we are exited from the box. The docker container is running. Let's use a curl command, and let's see. So I can have the curl -i. Let's have the localhost colon 5000. Oops, not 5000, 8001. And then it's going to give us the response. And this is our response. App is running on the docker container. Now, the one thing I want to show you is that if I go and make a change in our file, so app is running on docker container with version 2. All right, I save it. And then if I try to run this again, curl command, then you will see that the content is still the old one. So it's not getting updated. So for that, what we can actually do is we can have a docker mount volume to our running container. So we can mount this to a running image in our container. So how we can do that is, let's clear this first. And now we are going to mount our volume to the container. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a docker run, and then we are going to have it in a detached mode. I'm going to give a port. So we're going to have the container port as 8001 and our application port at 8000, and we are going to mount it. So we are going to have the -v, and then I want to mount my current working directory. So in Mac, if I want to mount my current working directory, I'm going to have the pwd, and this I have to mount with /app. So I'm going to have the /app here, and then let's give the name. So I'm going to have the name to my container. So this time the name is node web app container. So let's have the container, and then we are going to give the image. So I'm going to have the image here as node-web-app and v1. So you will see that now the application is running. And now if we want to see, then what I will do is I'm going to have the curl command. So let's have the curl and let's make an request. So if I hit it, then you will see that the app is running on the Docker container version 2. Now let's make it as a version, or let's remove this and let's change this as we have mounted the volume to running container. All right, I will save it. And now if I go and execute the request again, then you will see that we have mounted the volume. We don't have to create a new image every time whenever we are making the changes. All right, so this way you can actually mount it. And if you want to pass some environment variables, so what you can do is I'm going to go here and let's pass an environment variable. So I'm going to go and I will have an environment variable here. So what I can do is I can have an -e, which is my environment variable, and I can give the port as 5001. All right, since I'm giving the 5001 port, I have to change the port here as well. All right, so I'm going to change this 5001. All right, I'm going to hit enter and you will see that error from the daemon conflict, the name is already using. So okay, let's give a different name. So this time I'm going to have a v2 as container name and I'm going to hit enter. And we are also having this port as a conflict, so let's have a change the port as well here. So I'm going to change this to, so let's change this to 8002. All right, I'm going to hit enter. So now we have changed this to version 3, and then now we will see that we have a port as 8002 and 5001. So we are not going to use the port which is defined as 800 inside our application. We are passing an environment variable. So now let's go and let's try. So I'm going to go to my desktop and here you will see that we have the same application version, but those application version are running on different ports. So we can just delete this. We don't want this. All right, I'm going to delete it. And now you'll see that we have two different applications. One is using the port from the environment variable and one is using the port from the application code itself. So we have the 8001, which is this one, and now we will also have the 8002. So let's have the local host 8002. All right, so this way you can also pass the environment variable in the Docker command. Now we can also have the environment variable file if we want to pass it. So what I'm going to do is let's create an environment variable file. So I'm going to have the .env. All right, I'm going to give a port here. So this time the port will be 5010, and what I want is my application, this should use the port as 5010, which is from the environment file. So we have also installed the .env package. So let's make a use of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the import.env, and then I will have the from, and this will be from .env. I'm going to have the .env.config. all right, so that it will use the process.env.port. And now let's run this, or we can also create a new image. So what I will do is let's create a new image first. So I'm going to have the, I will just clear the console first. So let's have it clear and let's build it. So I'm going to have a docker build from current directory. Let's give a tag. I'm going to have the name as the malvia node web app v2. So this is going to build the second version of the app, and now we can see all the images. So I'm going to have the docker image. It should be docker images, and you will see that we have the version 2 app. Now if we want to run that version 2 app, but we will also need to have this environment file to be included. All right, so what we are going to do is we are going to have the same docker run -d. We are going to have the port mapping. So let's map the port to 5010. So I'm going to come here. All right, first I will have the version 2 to be running. Then I'm going to create a new container name. So I'm going to have the node web app env-container. all right, and then what we will do is we are going to change this, and we are going to have here as environment file. So I'm going to have the -env file, and then we just need to do a reference. So I'm going to have the ./.env. So take the .env file from the current directory and have it as an environment file. All right, we need to change the port. So let's have the 5010, and then I'm going to run this time as on 3. All right, I'm going to hit enter, and you will see that the container is now running. So if we go and refresh, then we should have the other container, which is the node web app env container. So all the 3 containers are running, and let's give a try. So it should have a 8003. So I'm going to go here, then I'm going to go here, I'm going to have the local host 8003, and we see that we have the mounted. All right, we have all the commands. Now if we want to list down all the containers, then we can have the docker ps -a, and if we want to remove it, we can use the docker remove, and then we'll just give the container ID. So I'm going to copy this container ID and then I'm going to add it here. But you cannot remove a container directly, but you have to stop it or you have to kill it. So what I will do is I'm going to have the docker kill, and this is going to kill the container. And now if I want to remove it, I can remove that. All right. So now if we go and see, then we will have only 2 containers running. All right. Similarly, we can also remove the images. So if we want to remove the images, what I will do is I'm going to have the docker images. And if we want to remove it, what we will do is we're going to have docker remove image, have the image ID. So before deleting any image, it should not be on a running container. So we have exited this too. And what we will do is first let's delete them. So I'm going to delete this containers. All right. And the containers are deleted. Now you can go to the images and you can delete the images, or you can just use the docker rmi and then you give the ID of the images. So let's have the ID. So I'm going to have the docker images. I'm going to have the docker remove image, and then let's give the ID. So I'm going to have the ID here. And now you will see that that is untagged and it's deleted. We can do similarly for the second one. So I'm going to copy, have it here, and it's deleted. So now if we go to images, then we will see only 1 image is left. So that's how you can actually manage your Node.js application with Docker, or you can Dockerize your Node.js application. We have also seen how we do the how we add the environment variables or environment variable files and some different commands which are very handy to use Docker. We can also do all those operations with the Docker desktop, and it's really the preference of the developer how he has to do, either via the Docker commands or the Docker desktop. So that's all I have in this video. I hope you liked the video. A thumbs up is appreciated. You can also connect with me via Facebook or Instagram, and you can follow me on Twitter for latest updates. But before you go, don't forget to subscribe the channel and press the bell icon so that you don't miss the videos like this one. Thank you. Thanks for watching.